thank you very much for coming on the show today, Aaron. And thank you for coming as well, Rebecca. Welcome to the Mr. Arthur podcast. And today we're going to be having a talk based around sexuality. We're going to be speaking about sexuality today. I'm sorry, I'm a little bit tipsy. We've had a few drinks. However, I think it's going to be an interesting talk and an interesting topic because we're going to be delving into a few... Well, it's going to be delving into the ting. Okay, then.
You're going to give us the tea
So, yeah, I might as well just give you a little bit of the tea in it. And I know that a lot of people have probably been questioning it, so might as well just speak about it right now. Yeah, I like men. And it's always been like kind of a little bit of a taboo talk to speak about, especially when it comes to like the community that I'm from. As you know, I'm from a Caribbean community, and the way that they deem and see sexuality is something completely different to quite a lot of other cultures. So we're going to be delving into like different experiences, but also how we navigate our sexuality within the Caribbean communities. So I thought that it would be really cool to have one of my good friends on the show, and also my other good friend, Rebecca, to discuss it. So welcome to Mr. Arthur Season 2. Welcome, guys.
Thanks for bringing us on.
Thank you so much. I'm here, all right. Like Stephen Arthur.
I know. What a man.
I feel like
renowned in Birmingham.
Oh my God.
I feel like this is a big leap when it comes to like doing podcasts in comparison to the podcasts that I've done. Because
really?
Yeah.
Why?
It's always been like surface level when I talk about certain things because I don't want to like kind of rock the boat.
What do you mean? Because like this time you're going to speak about your sexuality, and it's something that you've kind of dodged for a while publicly.
I think dodged publicly, yes, but I just never thought that it was at the forefront. It's never been like kind of the main thing, but I know that it's a thing.
Well,
if you get what I mean.
Been in Birmingham.
In Birmingham,
in London,
it's a different thing.
Aaron's from London.
You're from London.
In London, you're a different person.
Almost.
Basically.
Wow. How so?
You are.
I don't know. You tell me.
Oh shit! Okay then. So when it comes to, I feel like when it comes to the Birmingham community, it's a little bit more closed off.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
When it comes to conversations like this, where when I'm in London, I feel it feels more liberal. I feel a little bit liberated with regards to who I am.
Mm-hmm.
You feel like it's a bit more open.
It's more open. There's more of like a comfortable space just to be you.
Do you feel like the group of friends that you've made in London kind of already have accepted who you are?
100%. You know what? Moving to London, I didn't feel like I needed acceptance.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I don't think there wasn't that feeling that was there, that I required it. And I'm really glad that I've had a really good friend circle where I don't need to think about it. It's and that's, I think that's the beauty of like kind of moving to a place which is like kind of very multicultural, very accepting of different things.
Yeah.
Is the fact that you don't really have to think about it.
Mm-hmm.
But when you come to Birmingham, unfortunately, it's something that you have to think about. And there's always like that thing in the back of your mind.
Do you think it's Birmingham specifically, or it's because of the culture, the area, the people that you grew up with, the environment that you was in?
100%. I think it's definitely down to cultural upbringing, and definitely the environment. You got to remember, like, my upbringing was quite different to a lot of other people's upbringings. Like, I was raised in a pub, and not just a pub. I was raised in a Caribbean pub, a Jamaican pub, and you know, everybody knows that when it comes to Jamaica, like homophobia, like it's a big thing. So there's always been this. When it came to like kind of sexuality, it was kind of not there. You're not really supposed to explore it. Mm-hmm. So it was something that I kind of shut off. And then when I went to London, it was like,
be whoever you want to be.
You can be who you want to be. But I think one of the things that I really wanted to break down was experiences and how people can navigate, how men especially can navigate through, you know, their sexuality and be happy with who they are. Because I've noticed from me being within that scene, there's kind of like people don't feel like, I feel like people aren't like kind of 100% authentically them. Only due to possibly the culture where they're from and how they've been raised and picked up. I mean, Aaron, have you experienced anything like that?
I think just in general, I just think being black, being a man, and then adding being gay on top of it, it just adds a lot of layers of, you know, self-worth, you know, looking for acceptance, looking for validation. So there's a lot of things that kind of get crammed on top once you add that kind of gay title on it. And I think it's hard, especially black culture is not accepting of, you know, being homosexual, or gay culture. Okay, yeah, nowadays we'll say it's a bit more open, but in general, like our mums and our dads and our parents' generation, you know, it was difficult.
Definitely.
It was difficult. So for us, that's only getting passed down. It's learnt behaviour that they've learned, that they try and pass down to us, which unfortunately, we're now part of this community. And yeah, I think it's hard. I just think it's really about doing a lot of self-work and really finding out who you are and who you want to be. Because a lot of people, when you've had to live a lie for so long, you know, you get used to doing that. Do you know what I mean? So people will put on characters and not be themselves. So it's easy to just fall into that. So when you meet people, they're very used to maybe lying or being someone different, or being someone different from who their friends know they are to who this new community or people see them as. So yeah, there's a lot of layers to this.
Definitely. I feel like when it comes to, how can I put this in the right way? There's like the sense of not feeling yourself. I feel like I wasn't, there's an element of denial, especially when it comes to the community, like, and I've always said that there's this like kind of fine line between masculinity and sexuality, which is always like a little bit of a battle in my head. Like, okay then, if I become more masculine and act a certain way, possibly that will disregard my sexuality a little bit more. And I think that's always been like the major core of what I've been experiencing, is the fact that am I man enough at the least? And it does get constantly questioned, even like in my big age now, the age of 35, where I'm thinking like, damn, I was like, you could have achieved so much credentials, but it's like it still doesn't like kind of equate to manhood. And that's always been like a little bit of a fighting battle for me, especially when it comes to that aspect of things. So now in my skin, I'm very happy with who I am, but it takes a lot, and I feel bad for people, for men, for black men that aren't at that type of level, mindset, where they feel happy and authentic within themselves, if you get what I mean.
Yeah, and I mean, I guess, why now for you? Like, what's changed for you that you feel like this conversation is important for you to have?
I think this conversation's more important is because it's not that deep. Like, you know, the more that I think about it, I mean, doing this podcast about it is just to say that it's not no coming out podcast. Let me just keep that clear. It's like literally not that deep. I'm very, very comfortable now within my sexuality. And actually, if it wasn't for you, I wouldn't be very comfortable within it. I would
Why
not.
did you say that?
Because of how liberating you are. You're such a free spirit, and there's a lot that I've seen you do, that I've watched you do, that made me say, in a good way, in a positive way, that has made me feel very comfortable with myself and expressing the person who I am. And if it wasn't for people like you, I wouldn't really have been the person that I am now, to say that it's not that deep. Live within your truth. Be happy with who you are. So it takes other people who look like you to, you know, to kind of inspire you. And that's what you've done. You've done that from such a young age for me. So I'm very thankful. Hence the reason why I wanted you on that podcast. Because it's like, you're one of the main factors, the main reasons. And I feel like everybody should have a friend that's like Aaron in that situation where like they're happy, they don't give a fuck, and you just live, you just do you. And it's nice to see that. It's comfortable, it's comforting.
Yeah, look,
I'm honoured
that.
It's true. So it's like,
how did you get comfortable with who he was?
For me, I've always, I guess I come from a family that are very westernized. My dad is Jamaican, my mum is mixed, so she's Ghanaian, Indian and English. And they're very, they were born in London, they're British born, and they've never really stopped me from being who I was. And I think just that in itself I don't really have a coming out story. And so sometimes I do find it really hard to sympathize with people that do have these stories. But obviously I can empathize with them because, that feeling of not being wanted or being scared to let people know who you are, like, it is hard. But yeah, personally, have I had that coming out story? No. But yeah, I've just been allowed to just express who I am from an early age. And I've just ran with it, do you know what I mean? Yeah. And when you haven't really got those barriers or anybody saying no or communicating that it's a bad thing, I never heard like bad things about being gay in my house. Do you know what I mean? Like, I know some people would have grown up hearing like Batty Man and all of that, but I only really heard that when I went to the barbershop.
Yeah,
do you know what I mean? I only really heard that when I went to the barbershop or on
For
TV,
real.
or if I was at school and someone was teaching me what it was. Like, it was never in my household. So I just think I've been really lucky, and it's good to know that I can pass that on to others. And I feel like it's only recently that I've felt that I have done that. I feel like it's the first time that you've expressed this to me.
Really?
Yeah. So
I think you're like the coolest dude ever. Like, for real.
Yeah, no, I just feel like, I've just been really, really lucky that I've had parents that have just accepted who I was, do you know what I mean? Yeah. And never ever tried to change me or never tried to make me do like super masculine things. Even though I did sport, I used to do tennis, karate, swimming, everything. But
he can
yeah, they just instilled in me, I guess, confidence in being who I was and always saying how I feel, especially because they say how they feel all the time, especially to each other. And I guess that's the learned behaviour that I learned from them, is that they've always been themselves 100%.
That's it.
So I only can be myself 100%.
It's for real. That's learned behaviour. I think that's the thing. I feel like my family are very liberal, actually. They're very open, and I'll give them that. I'll give them their dues. I just feel like the environment that I was in kind of restricted me in certain ways. Yeah. I didn't let it define me, but it did restrict me. Especially when you're behind the bar and you're in front of a lot of homophobia. Yeah. And it's like 16, motherfucking 16.
Yeah, you're hearing it.
Working behind the bar, you're hearing it. You're hearing all the flipping slurs. So it's like bank holidays. Anytime where I had to work behind the bar, and I'm not saying that I had a really good upbringing, guys. I've got a very loving family. I love them to death. But some of the people that came to the fucking pub, pardon my language, and what I had to experience behind the bar, sometimes I'm actually shocked. I'm like, how did I get from A to B? How did I actually become the person that I am today?
Yeah.
It really makes you wonder, and it's nice to know that there's somebody that has had a mindset where they haven't had to think like that. Yeah. So it kind of, looking at you, it's very refreshing, to know that you've got that mindset. Yeah. Do you get what I mean?
Also, it's really rare, honestly. It's rare. Really rare, especially someone in our generation. Maybe now, the younger lot, maybe they've got really accepting parents because, the conversation is had a lot more and it's more open now. But especially in our generation and older, it's rare to have that kind of experience. And I'm just very thankful that I've been allowed to be myself. Do you know what I mean? I've never really had to think about it. But I just think, in general, sexuality is not that deep.
It's not deep.
Do you think that the next generation has made it really complex? Because like now you've got LGBTQ plus.
I don't think they've made it complex. I think people are just trying to work out who they are. And like, unfortunately, as a society, we like to put names on things. We like to have structure to a lot of things, especially in the UK. So, in terms of gender and sexuality, that like, people want to put a name on it. But like, when we think about it, we just want to be good people. We just want to be good human beings. And I guess we all just want love. Do you know what I mean?
Absolutely.
And, when we look at it,
it's
just not that deep who I fall in love with. And it's not really any of your business.
Absolutely.
But it has to be a conversation because people are so uncomfortable with it that it kind of changes who they are. Do you know what I mean? And it changes the possibilities of who they could be. So, it's an important conversation to have, and it's important to get away from that stigma, especially as black gay men, and just learn to be comfortable and kind of find your community.
Exactly.
It's hard. It is
and
hard.
I think that's another thing, is finding the community, because are we really ready to speak about community though?
Yeah, like, do you feel like you're part of the LGBTQ plus community? Because it's like...
Well, we are, without maybe choosing to be a part of it. We are a part of it, we're a spectrum. We are a part of it, generally being part of it,
Definitely, genuinely being part of it, but I just feel like the representation around it is just a little bit blurred.
I think people are scared. I think people are scared to say they're a part of it because I feel like it's a bit whitewashed. Do you know what I mean? So in that sense, it's like, but is that really me? And do I like putting labels on things? No. Do I like, having titles on things? No. But unfortunately, they are here, and we are a part of it, And some people might say, I don't know, we're the masculine presenting, gays of the LGBT community. But for me, it's who I've found and are my friends, and I can be 100% myself, is my community.
I think that's
what I mean? Definitely. And like, being in London, I've grown up in London all my life, that immediate gay culture is not really my culture, and it's not geared to what I like and what I like to listen to and what I like to dance to and stuff like that. It's not really geared for me, but I can't say that I'm not a part of it.
That's it. I feel like you're a part of it, but it's like I don't have much knowledge around it, like for me, or I feel like it's a little bit of a caricature sometimes of like what the LGBTQ community looks like. I'm just like, that's not the way that we act. And I feel like there's so many different pockets of gay people being gay. There's so many different ways that they are, and it's like, it's just not presented in that way. It's presented in such a way where I'm just like, we don't do half of the things that you think that we do. And it's like, we're not that person, so how do we kind of level the playing field when it comes to things like that? Is it the conversations that we have right now during this podcast that kind of break these types of stigmas that are against gay people?
Yeah, I definitely think it's just representation, isn't it? Like, I know that if our group of friends go out, we'll go out and no one is expecting that we're gay. Do you know what I mean? So it's just like...
Like my son said, you look like a boy band from the 90s.
Yeah, a boy band from the 90s.
It's literally that every time we're out. So it's like that, in a sense, is being gay for us. Do you know what I mean?
For real.
So I think it's just representation, just people understanding that it's not, super feminine. It's not, wearing makeup. It might be. There's nothing wrong with that at all. Some people at this table, they sometimes wear a little bit of makeup too. Like, but it's.
Was that shade?
No.
It's.
Look here. This is. it's concealer for the eye. You get me?
Oh, is it concealer for the eye?
That's concealer. It's concealer for the eye. Like, I'm on camera. I don't,
like what they call Botox.
I'm still.
I should Botox.
Oh, do you have that?
No.
Oh, you sure?
No, this is natural. Not yet. Not yet.
But I feel like one of the things that I want to take from this podcast is not even from this one I want to give is like kind of like a way that young people from ethnic minorities can kind of express their sexuality and feel comfortable with it, like without feeling the way that probably I felt and other people are in that same situation or predicament.
What do you feel like you needed when you were younger?
You know what? I don't think I needed anything when I was younger because I already had it, but probably maybe a certain, I got honesty left, right, for flipping centre, so it's like it was there, but I think it's the way that it was communicated to me, maybe. Maybe that level of education around sexuality, and around it being okay, and it not being like a sin, or like, and in our culture it is literally a sin, to be fair, but I think for specifically me, like I'm around the music, I'm around all of that, but the more that I think about it, I don't think I needed anything, but there are people in situations that they literally cannot speak. Like, I've got parents, thankfully, and family, thankfully, that I'm good with, that I can have those conversations with.
So outside the pub, because the pub was very raw, even I know that of recent, like not
she knows.
Ago, I had big arguments with someone and nearly a fight because of their comments towards Stephen. So,
oh wow,
I know,
okay.
Man, a big man.
Yo, I didn't even know that the argument was over me. Do you want a drink?
No, I'm good, thank you.
Okay.
What was it that you needed from us in Birmingham, not outside of the pub? Because you've got a huge friends group outside of the pub. Mm-hmm. What did you need from us to be able to be transparent? Because there was a time when everybody was asking me, and you never ever confirmed it to me. So I was always like, you need to ask him. Like, what are you asking me for? What was it that you needed from us to make you feel comfortable to speak your truth?
I don't think I ever felt comfortable.
Why?
I don't know why. And that's probably it's because I just didn't feel comfortable. Like, Birmingham is just not the place. Mm-hmm. It's not the environment for you to feel. Sometimes it's often not, like, although like I've got family here, there's a part of me that I feel like I belong, and then there's another part where I just can't relate. Like, at times where I feel like they won't relate to me, because I've had that question asked to me directly, but it's been asked to me in such a very offensive way, where it's like you don't really want to, you do respond back, but it's just like the way that it's told to you just makes you feel kind of sad inside, innit? So I think it's because of probably previous experiences that I've had where I didn't want to speak about it. And to tell the truth, a lot of the work that I did was for me to cover my sexuality anyway. I didn't really want to like think about it. So most of the time I kind of used work to kind of shield a lot of things off. So having those conversations were always awkward to me. And once again, it wasn't about the damn sexuality, it was the way that I was acting. I was like, damn, am I masculine enough? I was like, why are they still like, can't I be masculine passing? And I remember when I stopped giving a fuck. It was July the 4th when I was 28. I was in London, I was at Chelsea, and I was like, where am I caring for? I just didn't care what other people had to say. And then ever since that age, I don't know, something clicked in me where I just didn't care anymore. I was just like, you know what, people could think all that they can think. You know, whatever happens, just happens. Like, my certain family members probably might not even be happy with this podcast at this moment, but I'm cool with it.
Do you know what was really interesting is that when he actually came out in Birmingham, like all of our friends used to ask me.
Did I come out in Birmingham?
You started to tell people, everybody was like, "Oh, we already knew," you know.
Well, I mean, that's what normally happens.
Well, we already knew.
For fuck's sakes, man, Becky. Could you? Anyway, I remember when I told my mum. So, what happened was like, shit happened. So I'm not gonna go through the full story, but there was a moment where I had to tell my mum. There's a moment where I had to tell my mum. I was in the car with my mum. I was like, "Mum, I've got something to tell you." And my mum was looking at me, and she was like, yeah, what's up? I was like, I like men. And she was looking at me like, and I was ready for like the world to crumble around me. And I was like, is there anything else? And she was like, yeah, what else? What was the important thing that you need to tell me?
And it'd be like that because when you...
But
your mum...
was like, shit!
Out of everyone, your mum's gonna know.
Yeah, your parents always know. Even when I told my dad, he was like, yo, son, do whatever you want to do. Like, you know, it's your life. He was on his tablet, as he usually is, probably playing Sudoku or something, Animal Crush, whatever. And he was like, Stephen, this is your life. You do what you do. And even him doing that, him being so nonchalant about it, just him like not even caring, not making a biggie over it, that made my whole fucking day. It made my day.
Yeah, but remember, like, those moments that you're having in your room and you're singing along to your favourite song, they're hearing that downstairs.
Of course.
Do you know what I mean? Like, they know.
My
like,
music's very eclectic.
Exactly. So they're just...
Wait, what's that supposed to mean?
They're just adding up the dots.
Exactly.
Do you know what I mean? They're going to know. Your parents are going to know.
True.
Do you know what I mean? That's your...
Yes. But, you know, I think... And like what I said, that was always the botheration, was the fact that it was like, man, like, I always saw the label gay as more something bad. Mm-hmm. And it's like... And it made me feel bad about it. But now it's like, I really don't care. There's a lot of people that holler me. I'm just going to tell you this from now. Like, people that you would never think. But, you know, either way, I'm very much happy within my sexuality. And I feel like that is a blessing that a lot of black gay men don't have, black DL men as well. It's like, is the fact that you can live authentically yourself and just be completely happy. A lot of people don't have the luxury of being that person. So one thing that I've got to give thanks for is that I've got the luxury of having good friends around me that have kind of made me be the person that I am, and I'm able to walk within my truth and not feel a way about it. It's not the forefront of everybody's conversation, and I'm not expecting it to be the forefront, but 9 times out of 10, people who usually ask me around about my sexuality, they usually holler me. Be like, I kind of like you.
They just
or
want
I want you.
Like,
they just want to know, men
Yeah.
or women. It's like, and like, it's usually like, why are you asking for? And then I get a DM. Okay.
That is normally the tactic. You know, let's fish.
Yeah.
Let's do a little fishing.
You know what? Now he's doing this podcast, I can't tell everyone I'm married to him anymore.
Sorry,
No,
dog.
you still can. You still can.
That's normally my saving grace. That's my husband.
But and that's another thing that I've learned as well. Like, is the fact that there's a lot of like what Rebecca said. There was an incident that happened where, you know,
Something was said. And it was like, it was a thing, to tell the truth, I don't really care anymore, because it's like, I just know that I'm onto bigger things. But it was just the reaction of it. You know, when, Aaron, I know that if anybody messes with you, you can beat them the motherfucking down. You're Karate Kid, like, and even down to me, I'm just like, I can kick the shit out of you if I wanted to. So it's like, don't get it fucking twisted. Like, I can knock people down.
Like, gay don't mean weak.
Like, it doesn't mean weak. And that's the thing, like, the connotations to that word and what it represents. I'm just like, yeah, you like the same sex, but that doesn't, like, change the fact that you can still beat them down. Like, you can still be a road person and still be that type of person. Do you get what I mean? If you get what I mean. And yeah, that's it really.
So who have you found has been your biggest allies through this experience? Like, both of you, who were your biggest allies that, like...
For me?
Yeah. Outside of your community?
Biggest allies?
Outside of, as in,
like
outside...
your friends group?
I guess... Oh, outside my friends group. I don't know. For me, it was my friends, you know. I chose my friends that, as everyone says, like, chosen family, do you know what I mean? Like, I chose them for a reason, because they championed the person that I was, do you know what I mean? And it's never really been an issue.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? I wouldn't really surround myself around people that would be uncomfortable with who I am. And I think sometimes you can get in situations where you feel like you need to be in groups of people that don't champion you, but what's the point?
For real.
What is the point? What's the point of going through that drama and feeling that negativity when you don't have to? Do you know what I mean? There's always going to be people that love you for who you are. So I feel like, yeah, my biggest allies have been my friends. And yeah, I would, yeah.
What are you looking at me for?
Who have been your biggest allies?
My biggest allies?
Yeah.
I think my biggest allies, obviously my friends, you know, like definitely having people, like what I said, having people that look like you, that are the same way, but in like kind of have different personalities.
Yeah.
It helps. It really helps to show diversity, to know that you can be a black male that is successful within their own right, like the same sex, and just be doing your thing. It's like, because sometimes you feel like you're a minority in spaces where that doesn't really happen. So it's like, it kind of gives me hope there. My other ally is definitely this one over there. Like, you know, like she's been in full support, and also my mum.
Yeah.
But you know what, my mum, this is the thing, my mum is open, but it's like educated, uneducated talks, if you get what I mean. So it's like, she's like, you know, she's like, I love you, you know, and then she'll ask me these questions, and I'm just like, I've got to answer these questions.
Yeah, like the questions are still really ignorant.
They're very ignorant, but they're not supposed. She doesn't mean anything by it.
No, you don't mean it. Yeah.
And my dad as well.
Yeah.
My dad is low key another ally, but he's not. He's like, pause that. But everyone, like he's one of them ones, but still he loves me. I know that he loves me, and I know that he's one of those ones. He'll have his moments, but it's like, I know that it's not coming from that place, if you get what I mean.
Did your parents watch, because I know our community,
Please beat that out,
have really enjoyed Mr. Loverman on BBC.
So,
it's a TV show about two older black men. I may be in it. But that's not me.
Okay then. Okay then.
But I just know that the response from, you know, the older generation in our community has been really good and really receptive.
It's been.
Or was it about two older gay men?
It's about two older gay men that have been having an affair most of their lives.
Oh, so they're both like on the down low.
And then they decide to be together. They decide to be together when they hit like the age of 50 or just when they're older. So it's been really interesting to see how many people have enjoyed the show, and maybe, I don't know, maybe it's put some people into perspective. Like, I guess everyone from that generation has friends that may have not been married, may have not been linked to any women, and it would make sense for them.
I feel like Mr. Loverman was a good way of like kind of exposing what, like, kind of like the adverse impacts of not being yourself, and how far things can go, if you get what I mean. If you don't be yourself, if you're not, because he loved that man throughout all of those years, and then the fact that they had children, they had kids, they had a family, it got so deep that it's like it took them to late 50s to get to that stage.
But 100% I felt sorry for the women.
Of course.
I felt sorry for the wives.
And that's another
100%,
thing.
because, you know, they gave their lives to these men, and
you
they
guys
were lied to.
Don't understand how I want to delve into DL culture so bad, and I'm just trying to like disregard it so much, because I know that that's like a whole totally different topic to really speak about and discuss, because I think that's another thing that always played on my mind, is the fact that there's a lot of DL men that have, and it pisses me off to the core. I'm sorry.
I mean, unfortunately, there's just not enough space for people to be themselves, unfortunately. And like, if I'm honest, I can kind of understand why a lot of people choose that path, because when you really think about it, in this country, like, what are you actually coming out to? And I say that in a...
I didn't see it like that, you know. What are you coming out
Not
to?
in a bad way, because obviously you're coming out because you can be yourself and you don't have to lie, you don't have to live a lie. But in terms of community, like, where are you going? You know what I mean? What parties are you going to? Is there a pub that you can go to? Is there some, do you know what I mean? We don't really have
What I feel
black
like?
gay culture here, unlike other countries.
When it comes to, you know, like when you come out as a white person, like, and I don't want, like, there is a community there already.
Yeah.
There's already something established. But every time the thought of somebody coming out as somebody, especially a DL person, is the fact that I always see like kind of an empty road where all the shops and stores are like shut.
Yeah.
There's nowhere for you to go. There's not like a
Because
particular
they're not
place.
super femme, they might be super masculine presenting.
There is so many different nuances to it, especially when you're coming out as DL. And I feel like there's like a little bit more of a deeper, I feel like it's a totally different conversation for a different time. But there's a part where I can empathize with the DL culture, and then there's another part where I'm just like, there's an element of selfishness with like you being that certain way and then you including a woman into it and then you putting that woman at risk for your own self-gratification in essence. It's like there's a level of empathy that I do understand, but from there it's
risk,
like,
but it's more trauma, you know, because you know eventually it's gonna all come to the
so
surface.
you're creating new humans as well that you're going to traumatize.
and that's another thing, is creating life, and then you having to tell them on the situation or who you are and what you're about when it gets bad.
Yeah.
And there's been a good few stories that we've had where that thing has happened.
I think that's why I spoke about that show, because I feel like it really showed the different levels of how everyone is impacted by these lies. Do you know what I mean? About these two people not being themselves and how it's affected so many people around them, and that's only going to just spread out.
I think it's quite, you know, like you're talking about the black community, but I think that happens in a lot of communities more than you realise, because there is a white show about it, an American one, and it's they both was married to women, and then they ended up the same type of storyline, and then the women had to have like build their lives again. So the story was more based around the women, but it was totally the same type of storyline, and I can imagine it would have happened in the Asian community as well.
100%.
It's a bit of a sad situation, isn't it, that you can't be yourself and come out and just... Of
course, and I think once again it's very nuanced as well, depending on culture. So it's like like from a Caribbean perspective and an African perspective, those are totally different cultures, and then you could delve into religion and how that impacts sexuality. There's so many different
and then
layers.
Just environment.
So, you know, like culture, religion, environment, that always plays a part in the way that people are going to define their sexuality and how they navigate around that. And it's just such a shame. Like, I'd like to think that I'd like to get married one day, I'd like to have children, I want to do all of that.
You can do that.
But it's like, it's very limited in certain aspects.
I
when
feel
it comes
like,
to...
Yes, I mean, look, facts are, if you've got the money, if you've got the capital, you can do whatever you want.
Money.
You know, if you can do whatever you want. But yeah, the option is there. Obviously, like, the idea of it is people are becoming more comfortable with it. And also, on top of that, I feel like there is more of a culture building. It is there. We see it, you know. There's a lot of, like, Vogue culture, and there's a lot more parties that are for black people, black gay people.
Black Pride
it's coming
is the
there,
one.
you know.
I do like
Black Pride.
Black
you know,
Pride
there's
is
a lot of things coming through that are building a community and are building a culture for people to live authentically as themselves. But it just takes a while. Do you know what I mean?
I think
it takes generations and generations for that to really be set in.
I think that's the reason why I've got such a soft spot for the DL culture, is because at the end of the day, everybody, I don't force nobody, like, nobody should be forced to come out or for anything. They should be doing it in their own time. And I feel like people need to have patience when it comes to certain things, especially things like that. And they need to do stuff like that within their own time, because it is not flipping easy, especially when, you know, you're in a family that is not about that life. They're heavily religious. Like, there's one, I'm not going to say the person's name, I'm not even going to like kind of put it out there, but like, you know, when you sit back and you actually like really think about a situation, and there was one person that I used to deal with a while ago, and I didn't really take his situation seriously until he came out himself. And then after like kind of looking from where he came back and where he came from in his background, heavily religious, and having to like put himself out there, I was like, that is a huge motherfucking step that he took. And it was something that I took for complete disregard back then. Like, everybody has their own situations in the way that they have to deal with things, and the way that they have to come out. So I always have to give, although the DL culture is very toxic, you have to give them grace in certain areas, because it's like they don't know how to navigate. They don't have a community where they can be authentically themselves, so they have to like constantly cover themselves behind a mask.
But the fact is, they are part of the community. As much as they don't want to be,
they are
a branch of
oh,
the
they sure are.
You know what I mean?
They're a part of the community.
But like, yeah, also I don't even want to like label them. I just feel like, you know, these are people that unfortunately haven't been supported in the way that they needed to be.
That part.
But also, these might just be people that are sexually into that, but might not actually just want to settle down with a man in the end. They might just have sexual desires that, you know, other men are into as well, and they like that, but their end goal might not be to be with a man.
For real.
You know,
but then, hold on, as a woman, I didn't sign up to be involved in none of that bullshit. I'm sorry. I feel sorry for you, your community and all of that, but if I was pulled into that, I'd be absolutely furious. One, I don't sign up to be with a man that's bisexual in any way. Two, I don't want to have a child with someone that's bisexual. For me and for them, for my child to have to experience all that, that's not fair. That's your issue that you have to deal with. Why are you now pushing on everybody else? That's unfair. If you want to stay in the closet, stay in the closet without a female being involved.
100%. Like, it's not fair. It's
Absolutely
not fair at all.
Not fair.
Really and truly,
you know, we're doing all this PC stuff, yeah, great.
Mm-hmm. No, of course.
But the reality is, I'd be absolutely furious.
And you know what? I'm sure there are women out there that are.
Oh, that's not fair.
I know people that
when you
are.
have a struggle that you're experiencing, fair enough, and you know, I'm an ally to whoever is going through whatever they're going through, and I will support you to, you know, be yourself, but to drag me.
No, I 100% agree, because
fuck that shit.
For me,
fuck off. No, I'm sorry, fuck off. Like, no. I'm not. This is nicey, but nah.
No, I agree. I mean, I've not had to do it. You know what I mean? I don't have any, you know, people, victims, casualties left behind, and I'm not saying that in a horrible way, but like, you know, I think people just don't look at the bigger picture of kind of what the implications are and the trauma that is left behind. But, you know,
and even
this is what's happening every day.
Know, we're in 2025 now. Like, move to another country, go to London, for example, where you are accepted, or, you know, move away. Like, why are you putting other people's lives in turmoil into, you know, having traumatous experiences? That's not fair. So you can feel okay.
Okay then. So we're gonna have to wrap it up. Like, we need to continue this conversation soon. But I feel like there's so much things. I feel like this is a part one, because it could be delved into a little bit more. I mean,
this conversation could last.
It could go on for a long time.
A lifetime.
But the fact that we've even had this discussion, and we've been able to like kind of like speak about personal situations and like circumstances, I think that it's something to take back, at least.
Yeah, man. I feel like we should celebrate the fact that you've felt comfortable enough to have this conversation, that you want to document it, you know, that you want to put it out there in the world.
They come out, but they're not come out. It's
I was like, just say, like, that's what we're going to call it. This is not a coming out video.
like it's not a cooking show.
This is not a cooking show. This is not a coming out podcast.
You've been outside.
Not a video. I've been outside. I have been outside. So I'm sorry, guys. Like, I've been outside. And that is it. Like, thank you guys for being, for listening to our podcast.
What advice would you give the people, the youngest?
I think the advice is give yourself some grace.
What is advice?
No, like, I've got to give some advice to the youngest, You're funny. Don't give me joke. I'm still kind of young.
No,
You're
okay.
No, I'm not old. I ain't old as yet. I'm still. No, don't you dare. I'm not an old.
I feel like I'm the youngest at the table.
Go. I'm not hurting you. Look, no. Look, okay then. So, like, the advice that I'd give you is definitely give yourself the grace to just be you and find yourself a community that, that really appreciates you and doesn't see your sexuality, just sees you. Mm-hmm. And that's something that I've been very blessed with. Like, my friend circle, that's the last thing on their mind. It's all about me and my personality. And when it comes to your family, you will know the people who are for you. Like, 100%. Like, I know exactly the people who are for me. And one of the things that have probably held me back is the fact that when it comes to the men in my family, I've been a little bit more reluctant. But when I do speak to the men in my family about it, they're so flipping cool about it too. So all of these worries that I had about other people, thinking about who I was, it was always me against me. And I think at the end of the day, it's going to be you against you when it comes to a lot of this, when it comes to a lot of these challenges. So definitely just, you're okay, you're good, just don't make your sexuality to define the person that you are. I think that's the advice that I'd give anybody who's young. And go to Black Pride. We got to wrap it up. But yeah, like, subscribe.
The producer said cut.
Yeah, the producer said cut. So like and subscribe to, the Mr. Arthur podcast. And thank you. Bye.